All right, welcome to another episode. Today we're going to take a look at Etsy. It's falling below $100, so definitely not good for the stock. We're going to go ahead and check it out. I do want to remind you, it's not a recommendation for anything. It's just my own opinion. You want to grab that opinion, you can check out our Discord channel here where I post some charts periodically, so definitely take a look at that, and our website at tradersfly.com. There's a ton of live classes here that we've done, and you can get the pre-recordings or the recordings for them. And a lot of great things on options. All right, let's kick things off with Etsy here. Etsy earnings. If you take a look at the earnings, there's just a lot of weak guidance here. Not all these earnings that came out were like really bad, but there's just a lot of things underneath the surface, along with a weak market that really just create problems. So you can see here, even Q1 222 or EPS beats, but just because it beat doesn't necessarily mean the stock will power higher. So anyway, there's a lot of weakness to it. There's, if you look at this one, the estimate was 0.593, actual was 6. So you can see it actually kind of beat, but that's not the only thing that, the market cares about. Sometimes the market cares about just the energy of the overall market, meaning like the sentiment. And we had the Fed announcement here recently. So again, people are still digesting all of that. 100 level is also critical. So once it breaks below that, some people try to short it. So anyway, there's a lot of issues there underneath the surface here behind the market that can push stocks lower. And right now, this stock is under 100. So that actually becomes very troublesome. Some people say it's a buying opportunity. Other times it says, that's a little bit of an issue. So you need to be a little more careful. So I will say that, if a stock gets under 100, it can get and stay under 100. But sometimes you also get that 100 level where you get under 100 and then it snaps back up like Zoom, and then it keeps trying to play around that level. So you could see here Zoom playing around that 100. So it could be interesting opportunities at that point. And this is why I'm kind of pointing out Etsy here at the critical $100 level. It's just kind of starting there. A little bit of the problem here is volume on the sell side. Was building and still growing, so that's a bit of an issue. I wonder if people got into it, maybe the Etsy folks got into Etsy because they love the stock, kind of thing, whatever the reason is fine. But the stock got into a price point of about 300. Now we're down under 100. So from a retracement perspective, we're down almost 70% on the stock, and that's quite a bit. You had some interesting levels here in the past where this was kind of breaking out, stock looked good, moved and powered higher here on this compression, and right there's that kind of $100 level, and now it's breaking down again. So unfortunately, the stock does trade lighter. It's a little more difficult one to trade. I would watch this critical zone right here, and that zone is right around $72, $72.31. That is the zone I would look for a possible bounce. Right now, it is under the 100, so I think we'll probably stay under 100 till we come back and retest maybe this lower level. That could be one level to watch, and we're going to see how the stock behaves. There are some other lower levels. I think they're a little less important, but here's kind of the 50 as well, where we touched it before. It's also a psychological, mental kind of level that people get into. So again, it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, but take a look at DKNG. When you start looking at this example, people were buying this thing, back in the $75 price point. So when you look at this, here was, $65, $75 price point. It got into 50. People were still, 50 is cheap. Then you get into 30, 30 is cheap. Then you get into 20, 20 is cheap. Now you're down to $15 and it could get into $10 a share. So when you start looking at some of these things, cheap doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue powering higher. So be a little more careful in that regard. Now, when you're looking at Etsy, even though we're down under 100, it seems cheap compared to where it was. Doesn't mean it's going back up there right now or anytime soon. So I would look for maybe a sideways price action here, and 73 is kind of the next next area or stock price to watch. And when we start looking at that level, that's probably what I would wait to see if it can hold at that zone. If it cannot, I'll watch the 50. If it cannot, I'd probably watch now the 30 after that, and then from there we'll see how that chart's behaving, because if you're getting back into the 30, you're getting into the early kind of 2020 levels, and that's really pulling it back. Obviously the real price could be here, and then you get oversold maybe on this area, and then you could pop. So I don't know if that would be the case, but it just depends how the market itself is also behaving at that point. So anyway, we'll see if it can get back above 100 in the next few days. That's that could be nice. But if it doesn't, you know, you're watching this 90 right here, and we'll see if you get some compression or some upward trend kind of like this. But that takes about a month, right? It's not just one day, so it takes a bit of a time to compress these moves. So take a look at that. It could pop here, but here we've got a continuation pattern down. So the range here to here, so you look at R, so this should be, you know, R kind of as well. So that's why I say it could be a little bit lower than where we're at. So be careful, be mindful, trade lightly, and feel free to subscribe and grab some freebies on our website by clicking the link right over here. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of the week ahead, and I will see you next time.